That's it. We are live. Today is Friday, the 8th of February 2019. Hello, chat room, everybody that's been in there listening and waiting. Been a bit like musical chairs already. We've had Rich, Mr. Thrive and Survive on. We've lost him. He got chucked off. And the same with Phil. Phil's been on a couple of times and off, so we're going for it. Aren't we? So there's going to be quite a few people joining this hangout as the evening goes on. But we've started off with Phil Langdon. And I've got our Patricia here. So hi, Phil.
Hi, Karen. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate that. It's very kind of you to ask.
That's okay. There's Chris UK. We'll just say hello to him.
Hi, Chris.
Chris. Chris UK.
Sorry. Oh, I see.
Chris, can you hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Excellent. Well, you've joined to speak with Mr. Thrive and Survive, right? We've come on with Phil Langdon. We're just going to have a little chat with him for a minute while we're waiting for everybody else to come on. But everybody, Chris UK's joined us. Right. If you don't mind just hanging on just a little bit. So, Phil, explain your channel.
Explain yourself.
Yes, quick.
So my channel is about effectively it's about ascension. So I make videos that cover lots of ancient subjects, Egypt especially, and I identify ascension in those cultures because in my opinion the entire ancient world was or had a recognition for ascension. So that's what I found myself 4 years ago. I did what's called the Great Work, and I've written about it since. I did get to the end of it, which I didn't think would happen, but it did happen. And I simply write about it and make videos about it now on my channel.
And explain a bit about the ascension then.
Okay, well, there are many phrases that refer to ascension. One of them is liberation that you might find in yoga, or if you're a Christian, you'll hear about resurrection. Illumination is more of the occult version, if you like. And ascension, all these things mean the same thing. And effectively, it's when you define the truth of your own ineffable self. Because we all come from the same infinite being, as it were. And in physical life, things become refined and defined. And we're supposed to do that effectively to ourselves and draw our highest self to us by transforming in the process of learning and gaining understanding. So the more you understand on a larger and larger scale, the more you realize that we're all part of one being anyway, and there's no need to compete, etc., etc. You know, the understanding actually changes the way you are, and in effect, you become more like the highest aspect of yourself, the best of yourself, and that attracts the infinite aspect of yourself towards you. And there's a union event, and from that union event is an expansion event. I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't want to freak people out, you see, because this is very powerful, I think, this material. And I've wondered for a while how much of this I should talk about, you know?
What, because people get offended, you mean? Or people
not necessarily being offended, having their minds stretched and expanded in the process, you know, because it's automatic. It's like getting in a boat to cross a river. When you get to the other shore, on the other side of the river, you step out of the boat and you gain, if the boat is knowledge, when you step out of it, you gain what can only be called spiritual wisdom that incorporates that knowledge. So you don't have to carry it around with you like baggage. You inherently know it, and therefore you can speak about it in everyday terms. And it's very profound, some of it. And I know it affects people. From my experience of talking about it, it does have an effect because it's so poignant, you know, and deep. It's very deep. Everyone will recognize it.
Is that what people call being like born again?
Yeah, that's the Christian version. It's like born again Christians. They say you're born again, but none of them have been born again. You know, there's a distinction between actual rebirth and the imagination of some ceremonial event where you think you've been reborn. There are any number of normal spiritual experiences that people have. Even samadhi has different levels, you know, and it's very easy for people to jump to the conclusion that something truly significant has happened to them without really checking what they've experienced. I don't know where I'm going with this. I can't remember your original question, but
well, I said born again. Like
yeah. So thank you. Yeah, the born again. That's another expression for ascension, basically. Yeah, that's right.
Right. So what was it for you? Because I was watching you on this hangout. Not that you have that many hangouts yet, do you? But
No, that's right.
You were explaining that you didn't mean to, but you did. Thought maybe it could have taken years and years and years, but it happened.
What did you say? It took years and years?
No, you were thinking maybe it would take years and years, but it didn't. It happened for you.
Well, it did kind of take years and years because I started with the idea that I wanted to know what the natural function of a human being was on a planet, because I didn't hear the explanation anywhere from anyone around me, and I thought, well, I have to find out by myself. And that was in late 1980s, when I was a late teenager. I was approaching the age of 20, and I decided to figure out the truth, basically. And I thought I'd never get there, but there's nothing better to do in life, so that's what I thought I'd do in general.
And you did say as well that, you know, who do you talk to about all this stuff? You know, when you find out all this stuff, at the end of the day, there's not actually that many people to talk to about it.
Yeah, right. I found the best people I spoke to were people into the mysteries and, you know, a bit of the occult, but they were decent people. To be honest, most religions put me off most of the time. Hinduism, I started to get my head around at one point, and the myths, and ancient Egypt has always fascinated me, as it does of many people, you know. But yeah, it was really what I would call a rigorous analysis of the reality that we find ourselves in. It doesn't mean I understood everything about, you know, the cosmos before the event. I understood enough to become a really decent person and to make sure that I remained honest with myself. And that attitude turned out to be right.
What I've kind of learned is that not much in your life will work if you don't know who you are as a person. You need to meet yourself. You need to know your child. You need to, you know, usually it's at the end of divorces or things like that, or maybe a death or something, a breakup. You get a set of things, and so that's what happened to me. My first marriage ended, and there was a big hole, and I needed to know who I was. And then I ate psychology. I just read book upon book, and it was a bit like, it blew my mind, because it's a bit like, no one's ever talked to me like this before. You know?
Yeah.
Hey, there's Mr. Thrive. We're just welcoming back. Hello, Mr. Thrive. Rich is back.
Can you hear me this time?
Yes.
Okay. And I've got backup now too with my phone. So if we have internet problems like last time I was on, or the one time I was on, so we should be good to go. So continue.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt anything.
That's okay. And we've got Chris UK on with us. He's joined us so far. So we're waiting.
Oh, hi, Chris.
Marsh.
All right. Awesome.
But Phil's just explaining what he believes ascension's about.
Hello there.
Hey.
Hey. That was Chris, by the way. Chris saying hello to Rich. Phil, you were explaining what you think ascension's about, so carry on.
Yeah. Where was I? Did I mention the union, the spiritual union event? Yeah, because there are two issues. There's the initial union issue and the effect of it that it has on you, which is natural. So what's going on in the union is that you're actually becoming aware of the infinite itself. infinity is singular by nature. So you're encountering the singular infinite spirit, as it were, which, to my surprise, I didn't expect this, but it turns out to be your true self. And you merge together. It literally entered my body, and I instantly felt like I was being lifted up into the sky. I was falling in love. I realized the infinite, eternal nature of this spirit. It never dies. And I became there was a blue flame that rose from my solar plexus area right up towards my throat, that stayed there the whole day. And at the end of the day, I felt like I was in a cocoon of blissful spirit. And 5 days later, I spent those 5 days contemplating in a state of bliss, the notion of dual opposites between the infinite and the finite. And I managed to find out how they unify. And the instant I found that out, I expanded from the center of my head infinitely in all directions, and found myself in an infinite pitch black void. And when I turned around, there was a huge white cloud with laser beams of light coming out of it, fixed in place just in the near distance. I was able to move around it at will, examine it, and find out what it looked like and what it seemed to be. But it's taken quite a while to work out the finest details of what exactly that experience represents. So to me, the ascension process is as they describe what are called the keys to heaven, which involve the heart and the mind, because the infinite cannot be understood by the human intellect alone. The heart understands infinity first, and then it rises from your heart to your mind to illuminate your psyche, and give you the singular answer, the definition of truth, which is the definition of your own ineffable self. You know, this is how I would put it into words.
Yes, Phil. Oh, right. Okay. I thought you were going to say something else. You were saying you put it into words. Right. I wonder how many people in the chat room have had this. Hey, but someone else has joined now. crowxe has joined.
Yeah, I'm here. Hello, Karen. Hello, everyone.
Hello, my darling. You're on the panel with Chris UK, Mr. Thrive and Survive, our Patricia, and Phil Langdon. Phil Langdon's subject was a little bit different. I double booked. So he was talking at the beginning. Dave is going to join us. Do you want to just talk for a couple more minutes and then we'll get into, obviously, I hope you don't mind, Phil. Theirs is a bit more research way.
In what genre do they research? What's their thing?
What we're living on.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I've never really concerned myself with things too much of that nature. I've always researched the cosmos and particle physics, and psychology, like you. You know, those are the two main areas that I studied first of all, and just kind of followed my nose from there, going into various scientific searches and psychological things, connecting it with the mysteries and the tarot, etc., etc. And slowly, you sort of build this jigsaw puzzle of what you feel reality is about. That's basically what I did. I mean, can you relate to that?
Yeah, I think you're coming in like spiritually.
Yeah, I always had the two going on at the same time, to be honest. Even though I was studying what we call physical reality, I was also studying near-death experience, spirits, ghosts, the paranormal, everything to do with that. You know, just trying to figure it all out, as it were, just to get some sort of semblance of understanding going, you know.
I think if you're a really sensitive person, then all these things are happening. They're happening around you. Maybe a lot of people don't feel them or see them or understand it or want to understand it. But if you're mega sensitive, then these things are always happening, aren't they? Like a sixth sense. There's all these things going on all the time.
Yeah. There's great depth to this reality that we see a tiny fraction of. You know, literally, we perceive a tiny fraction of it. All sorts of things could be going on. I've never really been sensitive, to be honest. I've never been what I would call psychic. You know, I've never noticed it. I did have an experience with a ghost or a spirit in a particular place 3 times to confirm that it was actually a spirit that felt like it still lived in the place. You know, so I know that experience from a personal point of view, and it's very profound and powerful when you experience it yourself, really, you know.
Yeah, I think I do understand, actually, Phil, very much. Myself in my other house.
Yeah.
Definitely. But I have to say that the other people have joined now. Please, can you just stay and maybe like we'll talk with Rich and stuff like that now, and
Yeah,
then
sure.
we carry on afterwards with you, because
Okay.
they're sitting here now and they've come on to do research.
Yeah.
It's my fault because I double booked you, unfortunately. Sorry.
Don't worry.
I've never done that before, but
Oh, no worries.
Rich, do you want to explain, like, yeah. Rich, say something now.
First, hello, Khalid, and hello, Dave.
No, Chris UK.
And Chris.
Dave,
Yeah, I think we said hi.
Don't forget me, please.
I won't forget you, Chris. In fact, I want to talk to you because I think I'm going to be there in September.
Excellent.
So I'm about 90% sure that it's not going to be May. It's going to be September.
Brilliant.
Phil, if you don't know what it is there's going to be a convention in the UK, a Flat Earth convention in September near Birmingham. And
I see.
It looks like Rich is coming over for that. Well, he's coming over and he can go to that.
Right.
Okay. I know Crow wants to present something, and but I'd like to do this first, what I was talking to you about, Karen, because I know I told people on my channel that I would present this at 2 o'clock my time, which is now, and then we can get into whatever. In fact, I'm really interested in what Crow has to say now because it's going to fit into this. So I just did a video, and I'm going to share, Karen, and I can assure you the link is gone.
Oh, Crow's just rebooting, but that's
okay.
okay.
That's okay. We'll wait. Yeah, well, it's going to take me a little bit to explain this anyway, and he probably he probably knows this already.
My heart does a flutter when I see that screen, Rich.
Yeah, I bet it does, but I did it once, so I'm not going to be fooled twice anyway.
I'm here.
Crow's okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you. Hello, Chris. How are you? Rich. Sorry.
Hello. Welcome back.
Yes,
okay, I recently did a video, and what you're going to talk about, Crow, this is actually going to fit into this pretty well because it'll help give me a perspective of 3D space, I think, if it's like the last video I saw on your channel. I just did a video on my channel, and I think I've gotten more heat and more, you're such an idiot, and you're such a doof, and you're so stupid, and you don't have an education. I think I've gotten that more on this one video than any other video, maybe even combined. And that's saying a lot because I get a lot of trolls. In my video, I talked about how the shadow of the moon was not right, wrapping over the top when it just came out of its full phase. And on purpose, I knew where I was going with this, so I left things out because I do this to try to trap people sometimes. But it was proof in that video that the shadow and the moon turn at the same time. And with that background, that's all you need for background. This right here is a compressed view. Can you see this okay?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a compressed view of what we're going to see in the sky tomorrow night or Sunday night, whenever the moon appears to be half full. Roughly day 7, 8, 9 of the cycle. Again, none of this is going to be to scale, but you'll understand it. The moon will be much further away from the sun than this. But as we all know, at least most of the time, the moon will appear, the middle part will appear to point exactly at the sun. And but there's other times where you look at it and say, wow, that's 10 degrees off, 20 degrees, 30 degrees. I've even thought 40 degrees off before. And we're going to show you that this is absolutely true. And we're going to show you that the impossible happens in the accepted globe model that we have. Now, I just had to make this a video, so pardon me for having to jump around here. and try to find things a little bit. But here we have sunset here. Can you see the sun now, Karen? Now that's big enough, hopefully.
Yes.
Okay, so, and the moon is much bigger than it would be in the sky. It'd be the same size, apparently, as the moon, correct? But I wanted to make it larger just so it would show up on the Hangout. Now, in the summertime...
To say that Dave's joined us, Rich.
Oh, okay, awesome, Dave.
Hello all.
Hello, I thought he was here already.
No, Chris is here. Dave's here now. Crowxe. It was Phil Langdon's here.
Okay.
And Patricia.
All right, so what I'm proposing here is, here's the sun setting. Again, the moon isn't this size, but it isn't too far from this distance on the 7th or 8th day of the cycle. You know, farther up to the top left, yes, but let's go ahead and do a couple things. The sun is obviously going to set right down here, although to me, in another time we can talk about, this doesn't go directly down. It actually does curve off to the right, but that's for another time. We're just going to say it goes straight down from where it is there. And now I put in 3 different positions of the moon. Would we all agree that the moon would be expected to go down? Like whatever moon is valid. Would we all agree that it would pretty much head straight down from where it is in the sky?
Yes.
Okay. So now with this right here, which one in the sky is the correct moon? Two of these
according to the heliocentric model, it'd be the A.
Right.
Should be
And
A.
Okay, I don't think anybody would pick B and C because it doesn't make sense. Why? Because these arrows here are showing where the midpoint of the moon is pointing to, correct? And it is assumed that the moon is lit up by the sun. Okay. So, you know, the middle part of the moon should be pointed right there. That's why you would have this half lit up. So I think I don't think anybody disagrees with that. But I hate to go into this much stupid detail, but you have to. Now, these are just markers here. They're not really 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, but I just wanted to show some degree differences here. But generally speaking, this is what we're going to see. We all agree A is the moon. We see that the moon is going to set here between -20 and -30 degrees from 0. And again, don't get hung up on the numbers. These aren't probably correct. They're probably actually closer. I just had to blow everything up so we could see it. But we're going to look at real numbers here in a minute. So this is one part of it. Now, I had something else queued up that I had to reboot. Let me see if I can find it. I'll have to pull that up again. But there is a person who got in communication with me. He has a video. He has a channel called Teeth of the Lamb. I think that's what it is. Teeth of the Lamb. His name is Steve. He will be in. We're going to see something from his channel in a minute. What happened with him was this. Oh, and by the way, I'm saying that this moon A is valid, but only in the summer. In the winter, moon C is valid. And I'm going to prove that to you in just a minute. This guy, Steve, had been talking to me for quite a while. That's why I knew about this in advance. In fact, I've known about this for maybe even a month before I started talking about it on the channel. But I was waiting for something to be wrong with the moon so I could show it. One day let me go back to here. One day he was filming the sunset and it set at a certain position. And then he also, on this day, on let's say day 7 of the phase, he filmed the moon setting. And his wife and him were talking, and she said, the moon set where it should have. He said, no, it didn't. Did you notice where the sun set, and did you notice where the moon set? And she said, oh, yeah, it's not right, is it? The moon set to the right of the sun, not to the left. And we're all going to be able to go out there and prove this tomorrow. And it might be the last time we can prove it until next winter. But in the winter, it's off. And it absolutely proves we are not getting a reflection. So let's go to, and wait till you see what's coming next. This is only half of the story. Let's go to Pardon me a moment. All right, now we're looking at data from that I saved as a photo so we could blow it up. We're looking at timeanddate.com, and this is data for the 8th, which is actually I should have done it for the 9th. I'm a day off, but I'll show you what it is here. We'll go by the 9th. 273 degrees is where the moon is going to set tomorrow, and it's at that same phase that I just showed, a half moon. 273 degrees. So what's that? 7 degrees. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's 3 degrees north of due west. All right, 3 degrees north of due west. Now on the 9th, this is the sun data. The sun is going to set at 253 degrees. Notice the difference? It's about 20 degrees difference. And the sun is 20 degrees to the left of the moon. So when we go back to this right here, whoops, let me get rid of that. Something went wrong. Pardon me a moment. Okay, I just got to make this larger. So we're going to see this tomorrow. The moon is going to set to the right of the sun and be pointing away from it. And what we're going to capture tomorrow is we're going to capture the first thing I showed, which is this right here, where the moon is facing the sun earlier in the day, but as it continues to rotate, it actually is going to start rotating away from the sun. And everybody, we should be able to capture it again. That's what, right there, what everybody should be able to notice earlier before sunset. I'm going to go out before sunset and get this. But later, you're going to see moon C is going to occur. And we're going to document it. And I implore everybody that's listening to this around the world to gather this data tomorrow, because it may be the last time before the sun is too far north for this to absolutely not work until next year. So anybody can go and prove this tomorrow. The sun will set here, and 20 degrees over here is where the moon is going to set.
Is that how you're seeing your moon then, Rich, like that?
I don't know. You mean the exact orientation of like where the different seas are, like the Sea of Crises there? I don't know. I'll know tomorrow.
No, I mean, you're looking at it facing, the moon is on the right like that, and the left of the moon is not there.
Well, tomorrow, yeah, what's going to happen tomorrow is you're going to see the sun go down. So just mark in wherever if you're observing this tomorrow, note exactly where the sun goes down. And then note a few hours later where the moon goes down, and you'll see that it goes down to the right of the sun. Okay. And that is an impossibility. It must be to the left if the sun is lighting up the moon. Does everybody already agreed to that? And sun and moon, timeanddate.com is telling us it's going to set to the right of the sun. And hopefully we can see, I haven't actually tried to notice this at sunset, but hopefully at sunset we can notice wherever the moon is in the sky, which should be probably here. We should probably be able to tell just visually, it's not getting its light from the sun. That's the first thing. Now, the other thing was that rotation, and anyway, let me just get into it. The moon isn't really rotating, it's perspective. And I accepted that, no problem. But it's not. Wait till you see this stuff. And Dave, he caught this. Now, I don't have yours in order, Dave, so I didn't put these up here. But I've gotten these from Steve at the website I'm going to show you. Before I do that, I want to show you his video. This is Teeth of the Lamb. That's the channel. And what this is believe it or not, this is from timeanddate.com. Somebody sent me this link. This is an actual simulation of the January 21st lunar eclipse. And I'm going to play this here and note that this is time lapse. This is much time going by, hours and hours going by during this eclipse. Okay, so we're going to play this. Now, this is called the Sea of Crises up here. That's what I always go by. It's almost due 12 noon in the simulation. This is a simulation for Phoenix, Arizona. So where you were, you may have seen it differently. That's where the perspective difference is, not as it moves through the sky, as you're going to see. So let's play this. Now, what's going to happen is, let me play a little bit to show you. Okay, there's the Earth's penumbra. It's showing the Earth's penumbra supposedly coming up, and then the umbra, and then it kind of does this weird spin around like we're freaking jumping all over the universe, and then it leaves. But notice the position of Sea of Crises the whole time. So the eclipse is starting. It's locked. It is not moving. Just a very slight half a degree here or there. There's the Earth's penumbra, supposedly all the way to the top. How much has the moon moved? None. And this is a long time going by. Now, it's hard to tell right here until it gets here, but I'm pausing it again. There it is, Sea of Crisis, same position. So we went from no eclipse, just before the eclipse started, to now the moon is totally red. Here's the Earth doing all kind of loops and spins in space. Maybe they have it in their model. I don't know. Now we have a very slight, maybe a degree or two rotation to the right, but pretty much it's still in the same location. There goes the umbra. Here comes the penumbra, and look at the moon now that it's out of phase. Now that it's out of its full phase, now it's phasing. Look at how fast it's spinning. So we went from, I mean, hours with absolutely no movement whatsoever of the moon. And let me actually tell you exactly how long, because these are the pictures from Steve. If I can find them again. Sorry. Trying to remember where I have this. I'll find it. Sorry, this was a little conjumbled here, guys. Here we go.
Yeah, they're actually
So,
my images, Rich.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. I must have opened your email by mistake or whatever. Well, I'm glad I'm using your images. Here we go. So what I did to your images, Dave, I took a line, a parallel line, or a line that's facing whatever, so many degrees. And what I did was, let me get the start of it. What I did was I made this line go over the moon, and I took from your center point. He gave you the center point of the moon in every one of his pictures, and I drew this line. I think it was 7 degrees. I can't remember the exact degrees, but anyway, it goes dead through the Sea of Crises. And I took this other one down here. It's probably almost off the screen. That was a copy of this. So it's the exact same degrees. So here is the first time, which is 4:22 p.m. And you're going to see this at the Sea of Crises. All right, there's where I blew it up. Again, I apologize. This is, uh-oh. I'm going to have to make this smaller for a second because the Google thing is in my way. So let me just jump to where it's relevant. There we go. All right. So I placed this on there. And at this point, as soon as I get it lined up, it looks like the Sea of Crisis has rotated 1 or 2 degrees to the right from this one down here, which goes along with the model we were shown. Here it is at 17:11, which is an hour later, dead on perfect. I'm just going to let this play because I can't do the scroll at the bottom because of at least not yet, because the Google Hangout thing is in my way. Here it is.
Hide. You can press hide, Rich. It says on the right, look.
Oh, I see. Thank you. Very good. Okay. So here it is at 1841, which is 1040. So we started out at 620, I believe, and now it's 840, and the moon still hasn't rotated any. Then we come down here. I'm not going to bore you with going through this whole thing, but at 1012, no rotation. Now we start to phase. Now I don't have in between these two times, so it's somewhere between this time and this time. The moon started to rotate all of a sudden after not rotating for well over 2 hours. And I'm going to tell you what we suspect now. It's not much. It's only a couple degrees. But as we go, here's the next one. This one is at 53 minutes, I think, after midnight. It's a little bit off my screen. And it's just a dead ringer rotated. I mean, look at that. So between in 2 hours and so many minutes, look how much it's rotated. Now, here's what we think is going on. We think, well, let's start with just during the eclipse. We know, because I've seen time-lapse photography from other people, that the moon does not rotate during the eclipse. It just doesn't do it. Maybe a degree or two here or there, but that's it. The moon does not rotate. So I'm going to stop sharing here in a second and just talk. Wow, if I can get it. Sorry, guys, fumbling around. I had everything all ready to go, and then I had to reboot my computer.
What are you looking for? Just to come back on the Hangout, Rich?
Yeah, I think I've done it now.
Yeah.
Now, if I can find you, there we go. Now I'm back. So here's what we believe. Well, we know during the eclipse it did not rotate. Absolutely no rotation of the moon. And when the moon is in phase in that same portion of the sky, we already have photos of the moon, like early when the moon is rising in the east. You can also see the moon early in the day in the east when it's in its waning phases. In the same spot, so this gets rid of the rotation or the perspective issue. When the moon is in that position in the sky and rising and it's full, it does not apparently rotate. At least it didn't when it was in the eclipse. We're assuming that when it's full, it does not rotate. We don't know that for sure yet, but we need people to capture this the next full moon. And unfortunately, here in the West, it looks like the full moon is at 8:32 a.m. That makes no sense to me in the model. But regardless, I don't want to get into that. I guess in the Pacific somewhere, or Australia, whatever, somewhere in the Far East, maybe you'll have enough full phase to be able to hopefully time lapse this, or at least take pictures maybe every hour, on the hour, something like that, to see if what our theory is which is the moon does not rotate when it is full. Absolutely no rotation. But going back to what I was saying, when the moon is, let's say 30 degrees high in the east, when it's full, no rotation happens from there until whatever, 50, 60 degrees up in the sky. But when it's in its waning phases in the same part of the sky, it's rotating like crazy. So it cannot be perspective. So anyway, that's the presentation. The first one is the, you're going to see tomorrow night that the moon is not pointing at the sun. It sets to the north of the sun, which makes absolutely no sense. And the second thing is the moon, obviously, I mean, people have caught this, does not rotate when it's full phase during an eclipse. The question is, when it's full any other time, does it rotate? And that's what we need to verify. And I know I'm going to be out there tomorrow doing this, and I'm probably going to have to wait till next cycle to get the full moon. But anyway, that's my presentation. Didn't take too long, I hope.
Would you like to hear what they think then, Rich?
Yeah, sure.
Can I ask, I mean, Phil might not have much to say, but he is on the panel. Phil, what did you make of that? Is he still there? Phil.
Hi, Karen. You're right.
What did you make of that then, seeing that there's no rotation of the moon in an eclipse?
I don't know much about the rotation of the moon personally. I don't really spend time on that sort of stuff.
Quite fascinating, though.
It's
do you
all
want to hear my
fascinating, yeah.
Do you want to hear my theory on it? I will be doing I've got some cut-out moons, and I will be doing like a live demonstration in my bedroom over the next few weeks. Yeah, because there's been a lot of questions asking about the moon rotation, so I thought I'd put my theory on it. The problem is why you don't see a lot of rotation on the full moon. It depends whether it's near your meridian or not, right? What you'll notice on them full moons of mine, from the 10 o'clock to the 12 o'clock one, you see the more of the rotation. That's because it's past my meridian, and I've had to turn from looking east and swing round to the west to look at it. And it's that turning what gives you the actual rotation of the moon, not the moon itself. So that's why you get the rotation on the moon. That's my theory anyway. Like I say, if it's low on the horizon and it's rising up, you won't hardly get any rotation at all because you're still facing it. It's when you've got to turn once it gets past your meridian. And like I showed you before, Karen, in the Canary Islands, where the moon does a complete 180 degrees flip, that's because it passes straight over your head. And you've literally got to turn 180 degrees. Because the moon doesn't get so high in the UK, you don't have to turn 180 degrees. You only have to turn probably 100 degrees. You know what I mean? That's why you don't get as much rotation in the UK as you get in the Canary Islands. You look at it anywhere within the tropics, when it's high on the Tropic of Cancer, and the moon will do a 180 flip. If you go on to Phuket Word and look at his presentation on the moon, because he lives on the equator, and when the moon passes his meridian, he actually shows you the moon rotate live 180 degrees. So that's my theory on it.
Okay, I'm going to share one more time, okay, Karen? And yeah, I definitely get that when it passes your meridian, it's going to appear the opposite of the way it was before the meridian. I definitely get that.
Also, if you look at that eclipse that eclipse shot, what you'll notice, look at the altitude on it. It doesn't start rotating until it passes the altitude. Yeah, as it's rising up to that altitude, when it gets to 70 degrees, yeah, and it passes the meridian, then you'll notice the rotation starting because the observer's got to turn. You see, because it's gone over their meridian.
What was the altitude of the moon
eclipse,
when you started?
the eclipse one.
Yeah,
mine,
when you started.
It was on the horizon.
Okay. Well, here we have this is what I was trying to explain. Here we have 4 hours difference in these two right here. This is the waning phase. Look how much rotation we have, and neither one of them has passed meridian yet.
I'd have to check the time and date to look at that.
Okay. But that's what that is. He says he has taken pictures in that phase, and it's constantly rotating.
Yeah, I've caught it rotating in every phase. Like I said, the shots you just showed of mine, the full moons. What I was actually doing there was actually measuring the moon to prove that the moon is smaller when it's on the horizon, and it's bigger when it gets to your closest point at zenith. That was the whole point of the actual observations. But like I say, it actually rotates backwards a little bit if you look at one of the images. Yeah, I think it's the third one. It actually rotates counterclockwise. Yeah,
about 2 or 3 degrees.
Yeah, and like I say, it's not until it gets to your meridian line that you do see that rotation. That's because the observer has to turn from looking east to the west, and that's where the rotation takes place. It doesn't actually physically take place on the moon. It's just the actual observer having to turn around. If you used an equatorial mount and you fixed it on the moon, you wouldn't see no rotation whatsoever.
Okay, well, I'll be able to tell that because the person I'm working with has an equatorial mount. So
yeah, I've been talking to him as well.
Oh, have you? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, one other thing I want to point out, and this is really, it's just because you're here, Dave. I'm not really prepared to talk about this much, but one other thing is, in the waning phase, there appears to be a hot spot on the moon that's not there at any other time. And here, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but it's not where it should be. It's about 10 to 20 degrees too far, I guess, if you want to say to the south, too low. But yeah, when it rotates, that it comes up and it's still off. It's still not quite centered with this, but it does get closer to being centered. It's a weird phenomenon, and we never see this on the other side. We don't see it on the new crescent moon, at least as far as I know. And of course, we never see it when it's full. We never see a hot spot. It's just an interesting little thing to point out.
Yeah, I've caught that a few times. Yeah, I've also caught the light when it's actually separated from the moon, and it looks like there's about an inch gap. You know what I mean? Then you can see another lit part, which is quite interesting. It looks like the light's very selective.
What makes it flip like that though on the tropics? How can it flip like that?
Because it goes above your head.
Sorry, Dave, I can't hear you. You've gone very.
Because it goes directly above your head, yeah, from at 90 degrees, yeah, it's literally straight up above you. You have to literally turn 180 degrees. When it's only at 60 degrees in the altitude, you don't have to turn a full 180 degrees to be facing it. That's why it does that 180 degrees flip on the tropics. You've literally got to turn 180 degrees. It's not the moon what's actually rotating. Yeah, it's just, you know what I mean. It's like an optical illusion to me. Yeah, we know that we're not moving, and we know the moon is, but it appears like the moon's actually rotating, but really it's us who are turning. It's just a weird thing. Like I say, it's quite hard to explain. And like I say, you think you know one thing about it, then it goes and does something completely different. You know what I mean? So it's quite difficult to. I'm going to be doing, like I say, I've got some cut out moons, and I'm going to be doing a demonstration on my ceiling. Yeah, so I've got 5 of them. I'm going to put them all across the ceiling, and then what I'll do, I'll face my camera east. Yeah, and as I move around up to the meridian, then move to my west, it will look like the moon's actually rotating. So
yeah, but you're asserting that when the moon is, let's say, not totally full, and it's before meridian, it's not going to rotate.
Well, it won't rotate until it passes your meridian. Until it passes that point where you have to turn, where you have to physically turn to observe the moon. You know what I mean? That's when you'll see the rotation. Okay. When it's low on the horizon, you know, yeah.
I think you're going to be surprised by what you see.
When it's low on the horizon. Like I say, that's just my theory on it. Like I say,
okay, yeah, and I appreciate
what
that.
I've observed.
What about the moon?
Rich, Enslaved by No Media, has been in the chat room. I think he's leaving in a minute, but he was actually agreeing with you.
Well, we're going to have it'll be a moot point soon because we now know what to look for. So many of us, hopefully, will be getting data. And even if we get a near full moon, but not in phase, and you get it rising in the east, please record it or take pictures every hour. So I think when it's in phase, it's going to rotate. When it's full, it is not. No matter where it is in the sky.
What does Crow think? crowxe?
Yeah, I'm here listening.
What do you make of all that then?
So about the rotation, if you're, let's say that you're laying on your back and watching an airplane coming on the horizon, and you're filming it, in your phone, you'll see that the aircraft nose is pointing upward, and the tail is pointing downward. And as the airplane goes above you and goes behind you, because you're laying on your back, you will still pointing to the upper side of the screen. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
yes, I totally get that too, and I agree that happens. But if
you're,
but if
you're standing in your feet, and you do.
Crow, you're cutting up a little bit.
You'll turn the other way. The aircraft nose will be pointing downward, and the tail will be upward. I think bad connection.
Yeah, you broke up just a little bit. Can you try saying that again?
Yeah, I said if you're laying on your back, you're filming that airplane, the nose will be always pointing to the top side of the screen. But if you're standing and then you rotate to keep following that plane that just passed overhead of you, the nose will be pointing downward in your screen.
So would you agree then if the airplane or nose of the moon, the Sea of Crises, is 10 degrees above the horizon, you start taking pictures to, let's say, 30 or 40 degrees above the horizon, it hasn't passed your meridian yet, we should see no rotation then of the moon.
I think that there will be rotation, but it depends on how high it's going to, or how high it will be when it passes overhead, or the highest point.
Okay,
The
Yeah,
highest point is
when the
90
moon's
degrees.
low, when the moon's low on the horizon, what you'll find is you hardly get any rotation at all. Say if it's on the Tropic of Capricorn, what you will notice is it doesn't rotate half as much as it does when it's high on the Tropic of Cancer.
Let me rephrase the question a little bit. If we find that during the full moon, in the same part of the sky, let's say 20 degrees above the horizon to 40 degrees above the horizon, let's just use that 20 degrees. When the moon is full, not phasing, would you agree that if the moon does not rotate when it's full, but it does when it's not full in that same 20-degree area or whatever we agree to, that there's a problem?
Yeah, 100%. But it would be actually, to get the moon in that same position as a full moon would be, you could wait years to get that, for an example, to get a waxing gibbous moon in the exact same position as a full moon, you could wait a very, very long time, you know what I mean, for it to be following the same path light.
Why couldn't you do just one day apart? Because it would be full one day and waxing the next.
Because it's constantly changing its altitude.
Or waning. Oh, it's not going to change that much in one day, though, is it?
You'll be surprised how much it jumps in one day. If you go into time and day and you look at the actual...
Well, either way, we're talking rotation, not whether you're seeing it further to the left or right.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is when the moon is higher, you will get more rotation. You know what I mean?
Okay, so probably the best two to compare would be let's just say right on the equator, when the moon's over the equator when it's full, and then one day before or after when it's full in the same spot in the sky when it's still over the equator.
Yeah.
Okay, that can be done.
There's something also I'd like to try, and we can do that through org. You select that place that you say, like
I selected
and then you can select the North Pole.
Uh-oh. I think we lost him.
Yeah, I'm here, but
oh, okay.
my connection is not okay.
Okay. You said select the North Pole?
Yes. I didn't try this, but I don't think that will be any rotation if you're looking at the moon from the North Pole. And mooncalc.org, I think it can display these things, and we can confirm observation if it's matching the mooncalc.org.
Yeah, I agree. Well, what do you all think about the moon setting further north than the sun?
Yeah, that's interesting, and I'd be interested to catch that, because I'm always trying to do different things, like, you know what I mean? So I would be interested to see that.
Okay. Yeah, tomorrow and Sunday, I think, are the best 2 days this cycle. Now,
what does Chris UK think? He's been a bit quiet there.
I was just drinking a beer. Very interesting. I don't look at the moon that much, but what I have noticed once 2 years ago was that there was a crescent moon in front of me and the sun was behind me 2 years ago. And I showed my son, and I spoke to Dave about it, and he says, well, that never happens. But I saw it. I pointed it out to my son and his friend. The crescent moon in front of me, directly behind me was the sun. The shadow of this lamppost pointed towards the moon. And I said, well, how does that happen? But I've not seen it again. That was 2 years ago. So I just thought, that was just walking out of my lad's sunbed shop. And I went, look, after been talking about flat earth with him. So I don't know if anyone else has seen anything like that.
Yeah, and I agree. If you haven't been looking at the moon, that's sort of like my thing. I like looking at the moon. This could be, I mean, I remember when I first started looking at it, it was like just a brand new world, like kindergarten.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can definitely get that. If you haven't sort of made it a hobby, that it's kind of a foreign thing to even comment about.
Yeah, and the more you observe it, the less you seem to know about it and all. It's one of them things where you seem to, you know what I mean? The more and more time you spend looking at it, the less and less you seem to get to the bottom of what the moon actually is, which is quite.
I'm intrigued by
weird in
the
itself.
lenses. I'm intrigued. Well, you guys are doing so much work and it's so committed to looking at the moon, the sun, and everything. It's hard for me to put all that time into it, what you guys are doing. So it's appreciated, definitely.
Well, I appreciate that, and I don't know how Dave does it with the weather he has. I mean, I get pissed off here if we get one cloudy day out of 10. So
well, today's the first day I've seen the moon in about 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, you talk about patience. I wouldn't have that kind of patience. Here in Phoenix, in the desert, it's beautiful. I mean, we're not even. I'm not even checking the weather tomorrow. I've already made plans to go, and I'm not worried about clouds because that would be such a abnormal thing.
Yeah, interestingly, Rich, the reason why, like I said, the reason why I actually did that observation and I filmed the full moon from when it rose until it passed the zenith, was basically to answer the globularists. Their question was, if the moon is closer, and smaller, then it would appear to be smaller on the horizon and bigger when it's at its closest point of zenith. So what I did, I measured it all at the same focal length, and I proved that even when the moon looks absolutely huge on the horizon, it actually measures smaller. And when it looks tiny, when it's way above your head, it actually measures bigger than it is when it's on the horizon, which is very, very, very strange because you wouldn't believe it by looking at it. You think, no way is that moon smaller on the horizon than it is above you. You know what I mean? But it is. Yeah. It measures smaller, and if you look on the measurements there, that first shot I took, that moon looked massive, and the one which was at 58 degrees above my head at just after midnight, that one looked tiny, but that one measured bigger. So it's quite interesting. But what it did do, it proved that the moon is relative. The size of it is relative to the distance. Yeah, whether it's closer or further away. If it's 2,380 miles away, then it'll measure 10.1 miles. You know what I mean, in diameter. So what I did, I proved that yes, the moon does actually get smaller when it goes away from you, and does get bigger when it comes towards you, which a lot of globularists have said, well, it should happen, and I'm saying, well, it does happen. You know what I mean? And I've got observable proof now.
Yeah, that's excellent. I haven't even looked at that part of it. I was putting all this other stuff together, but I do plan on looking at that.
Yeah, that's what the actual measurements are all about. That I just wanted to prove that the moon actually does shrink when it goes away from you, and it does appear bigger when it's closer to you. That was it. That was
okay. That was the reason for filming it, huh?
Well, that was I was going to shoot the eclipse. You know what I mean? It was all going to be part of one big presentation, but the clouds came in at 4 o'clock, so I never actually got the eclipse at 5 o'clock, which was a shame.
Yeah,
but like I say, I got something out of it, and like I say, that last moon's a 100.0% full moon. I got it from 99.7, 99.8, 99.9 to 100% moon, which was good.
Hey Dave, when time and date gives you like 8:32 a.m., it's a full moon. Is that the midpoint of it, or the start of it, or what?
That what you'll find is sometimes it doesn't even get to full moon. Sometimes it only gets to 99.9. I've even seen it at 99.8, then go back to 99.7. Yeah, only at certain times that it actually. Yeah, they'll put it down as a full moon, but it's not actually a full moon, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like I say, we've had a couple of 100% full moons recently, and I'm going to get one in a few weeks' time as well, and we'll get one the following lunar month as well, because they're both super moons as well. So it should be quite good to shoot. Here's my question for you: if it says 8:32 a.m., it's the full moon. I know this varies greatly. I know you pointed out one where there was 100% for a lot of hours. What is the typical amount of time that it's 100%, or an average? I'm looking for a duration. It varies, honestly. Sometimes it's an hour, and sometimes it's 12 hours. It's just there is no pattern to it being full for it.
Well,
Yes, 11 hours 46 minutes.
12 hours.
Which,
it could happen like that if you were on a ball.
well, yeah, exactly. Because obviously, if you take the sun being fixed and the moon's in constant motion, that would be impossible. Think how many degrees the moon moves in a day. So think how many it moves in half a day. That would be impossible to stay full. And that's what my last presentation was all about, to prove that the heliocentric model must be broken, yeah, for the moon to remain full for 11 hours 46 minutes.
Yeah, that's a long time.
A very, very long time. It only stayed, interestingly as well, on a lunar eclipse, it stays at 0 for a longer amount of time. You know, a new moon basically stays at 0 for an extended amount of time as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting stuff.
I think Rich is thinking now, aren't you, Rich? I can hear you thinking.
Yeah. Strange stuff.
Has it changed anything for you now, hearing that?
To me, that he verified that the moon must be close if you get that much of a difference. I mean, at the distance we're told it is, it shouldn't be. I mean, it should be, to me, I don't know the perspective with it or the distance, how much it should be, but I wouldn't think it would be very measurable to go to have any difference at all at 250,000 miles, roughly, whatever, 240,000 miles, and go from several hours, you know, let's say moonrise to its peak above your head, to measure differences in size. It, to me, indicates it's got to be close, much closer than 250,000 miles.
Yeah.
As I had to drive 7 miles to see one day, it was there, and then I had to drive 7 miles to see it. I'd say it was pretty close.
Well, let me just throw a little spanner in the works then, because
over an hour and a half. It's done that.
Rich, let me just throw a little spanner in the works then for you, because this one will rattle your brain a little bit. The sun in summertime actually measures smaller than it does when it's in winter. It actually measures bigger in winter at solar noon than it does when it's in summer at solar noon. Interestingly,
Wow.
because I've measured both for them. Well, I've measured them on the summer solstice, on the equinox, and the winter solstice, all at solar noon. And Jennifer did the same observations as well when we matched them up, and it actually measures bigger in winter than it does in summer. But the interesting thing is that when the sun measures bigger in winter, it measures the exact same size as the moon at perigee when it's closer, which is quite interesting. Within about, I think there was 13 pixels in it when I measured it. So the sun actually measures exactly the same size as the moon when they're both.
Million miles then, doesn't it?
You know what would be interesting,
Yeah.
Dave? Now, the person that did this measurement with you, where's he located?
Jenna, she's in Buffalo, New York.
Okay. It would be interesting to get the exact same type of measurements from someone at the equator or someone south to see if so we can eliminate atmospherics. Because some people will say, well, it's lower it's lower in the winter, so you're going through more atmospherics, so it'll look larger.
Yeah, but what you'll find is with the supermoon, even when it's on the Tropic of Capricorn, it'll still measure bigger, and when it's a micromoon, it'll still measure smaller when it's on the Tropic of Capricorn. So you know what I mean?
I was referring to the sun in this case, though.
Yeah, I'm just giving you, it's quite difficult to do it with the sun, obviously, but with the moon, with it being a supermoon and a micromoon, it will actually appear. You'll see the size difference. It's actually visibly noticeable.
That's you definitely throw a spanner out there. I'm thinking about that now.
Yeah, like I say, it's interesting, and don't forget it's.
Dave,
Yep.
No. Crow, we've lost you.
The internet is not good today in Egypt.
Calling Crow.
yeah, I was, regarding
Crow, we can't really hear you. Oh, there you go. He's gone.
Okay, he must realize.
Oh, there he is. Crow. He's
Anyway,
not
while
there,
we're switching, he's switching to his phone. So
That's it,
anyway,
so-
anybody that's watching this, if you know anybody with photographic equipment that may be willing to do this, especially tomorrow, like I said, this might be our last chance before Sunday should work too. That might be the last chance we get before next winter. Cause I think in the summer, it doesn't work. I haven't verified that, but the sun is so much higher that I can't see the moon possibly setting that far north. And I'll bet you this is the most extreme near the winter solstice.
Can you see my screen now, Rich?
Yes.
This is a supermoon and micromoon coming up.
Right, is he on it? Just make sure, because Dave likes showing the link. He does. There you
No,
go.
I've shared the application.
Cool, thank you.
Is it on me? Yeah. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll play it again just to show you. Look, you see the difference in size. It's a noticeable difference. That's all the same focal length as well.
There's nothing showing up though.
In there?
Here.
No. I can see that it's playing at the bottom, but there's nothing on the screen. You might have to go to full screen.
Sometimes it's because he's playing it on Windows Media or something, and it doesn't come through on the Hangout.
Is it not coming through, is it?
No, we see, yeah, just a black screen.
Oh, it doesn't matter then. I'm just going to show you the difference in
And
size.
a bollard. There's a bollard there.
Yeah, so, well, I'm playing it. I'm actually playing it now, like, but obviously.
Yeah, nothing.
No. It's strange because I'm not using Windows Media Player. I'm using the other one. So
VLC.
it don't matter. Yeah. It's usually pretty
I'm back.
good.
Can you
Like,
hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. So regarding the sun size and comparing the sun size between winter and summer, according to the heliocentric model, the sun is closer to the Earth in winter. So I know it's a little bit strange, but that's what it says.
yes, and it's actually measurable. But what they say is it's not the actual distance. What does it? It's the actual tilt. What does it into it? So even though we're actually closer to the sunny
no, in
winter.
their model, it's the distance also. We're supposedly closer. I think closest in January.
Yeah, 3rd of January.
But because we're tilted away from it, they say, you know what I mean? That's why they say it's because of that tilt, they reckon. But if it was a ball of fire, I'm sure it would be warmer when you got closer to it. So it is questionable.
Yeah. So Dave, regarding there was a problem that I found, but then later I found that it's not a problem.
What's that?
Yeah, I'll try to show it on my laptop while using my phone. I'm not sure if this is going to work. Now
Khalid,
I don't know how to use my camera.
If you need Khalid, I can load up your video. Is that what you want to show?
Yeah, it's okay. I was just preparing just 2 images for simplicity.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's working. Yeah, okay. Maybe you can show it, Rich, the orbit that I thought it is the reality, and then the other orbit. If you can, oh, you can see my screen.
Yeah, just about.
It's very blurry though.
I can just see the bird on the screen.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll
So
load
can
the video. You know, I'll load the video so they can see it, because I think I've got the one you want.
Okay.
Give me just a moment. You want the missing element deeper look in Moon's orbit?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, just a moment. If you could, let me know where you want to go in that. Exactly where. I think you want to go about 1 minute and 30 seconds into it, but I'm going to share in a second here, Karen. And the link is gone. Almost there. Okay, so you just let me know if you want to go later or earlier in this.
I think earlier.
Earlier, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that's without. Okay. This is with no inclination. So you move forward.
Do you want me to move forward?
Yeah.
Still forward?
So
Okay.
this is now this is the we can see a tilt move forward again. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, just when you see the orange and the green points, they show the perigee and the apogee.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so this is the issue. The apogee are not the highest and lowest point according to the heliocentric model, but I couldn't find this in any site. I just found it in some very small site that discuss this thing.
Okay, you may want to. I know what you're talking about here because I saw the video, but I think what you have is the orange point is the perigee point. Is that right?
Hey, can you see my screen now?
Okay, hold. I'll have to stop screen sharing then. Hold on.
What's going on?
I'm going to stop screen sharing in a
Right.
minute if I can find it again. There we go.
Sorry.
So let me know when you see something on my screen.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, so the orange arrow is the perigee and the green is the apogee, and this is just a simple inclination only without the other factor or the other element. Now this next picture is this. So there's tilt in both directions, and that makes the perigee is not the lowest point in the orbit.
Yeah, do you know why? It's because the
Yeah.
anomalistic cycle is 27.55 days, yeah, but the actual cycle is 27.3 days, so it changes. Yeah. Also, the tropical cycle is 27.3 days as well, and they change. You see, because it takes just over 18 years for it to do a full cycle. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, these two pictures I took from the same cycle. I put the perigee and the apogee both on the same. You see that line? If you look from the line of the orbit of the Earth, if you look from top view, you find that both arrows are on that line, so it's in the same phase. But one orbit without the lateral tilt, and this orbit with the lateral tilt that I found. Something called argument of preapsis, and it's 318 degrees for the moon. So this is the difference between this and this is not perspective. It's just there's another tilt angle toward us, not just from left to right.
Looks pretty straight to me, though. I don't see any tilting.
Can you just elaborate on it a little bit more, just so I can fully understand what you're actually saying?
So this line here is supposed to be the orbit of the Earth, and behind
that's
the Earth,
ecliptic.
if you can, yeah, here, this is the sun here, and this is the Earth covering the sun. So I'm on the same level of the ecliptic, and the other photo is the same thing. I'm on the same level, and I have another video, a video for this. From top view, you can see that both the green arrow, I'm not sure if I can play it here.
Yeah, the green arrow is apogee, right?
Yes, the green is the apogee. So this is inclination only with no other factor, and you see here the apogee and perigee are on the same line, and the Earth is hiding the sun. Now with adding tilt to the inclination, you see where's the. Let me get back a little bit. I'm not sure. I hope you get my point. I cannot.
Yeah, just to keep in mind that the moon's not aligned to the ecliptic itself. It's inclined to the Earth by 5 degrees.
Yeah, and those 5 degrees are not solely on the direction of they call it the line of semi-major. It's also incorporated with the line of nodes. You know the line of nodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
also
not,
known.
Yeah.
Also known as a nodical cycle, which has a similar cycle, which is 27 point. I think I can't remember. It's 27.3 something days as well. It's very similar to the actual tropical cycle and the actual orbit itself.
Yeah. So those pictures, I'm looking through the line of nodes to the Earth, and the Earth and the Sun is behind it, and this aim also the same from the same direction, but the orbit itself is tilted left, right, and the result is this is the lowest point, and this is the highest point. It's not the highest point anymore.
Yeah, but in the heliocentric model, they don't class that as the apogee and perigee. That's based on the tropical cycle. You know what I mean? And like I said before, because there's a difference in them, you will get like oscillation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It will like oscillate, and it will change.
Yes, because the.
Yeah, I've got some here in me. Let me just find it.
You know, I've been searching a lot for these things since I saw your video, because I also knew that the perigee is the lowest, like maybe 28 degrees below the equator, and I checked the numbers in many sites comparing the distance of the moon with the elevation angle, and they didn't match until I found this new thing that there's 2 inclinations, not just in one axis.
Yeah, let me just find this. Oh, I've got it somewhere. I've got so many folders to go through. Just give me 2 secs and I'll get what I'm looking for. I think it's here. Right.
We're also going to listen to Chris as well. Chris has got obviously something he wants to talk to Rich about as well coming up.
Yeah, just give me 2 secs and I'll just get this up and I'll just explain what I'm on about. Right, here we go. Right, so you've got basically, can you hear me? Yeah.
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 Right, so you've got 223 lunations in sorry. Yeah, that's it. So you've got 223 lunations in a Saros cycle. That's based on the synodic cycle, on the actual phases. Yeah. So you've got 223 of them per cycle. But you have 238 based on that Saris for the anomalistic cycle, and the draconic cycle you have 241 lunations. You know what I mean? So that's where you got your difference. To complete a full cycle, you'd have 223 phases per 18 years, I believe it's 18 years, 11 days and 8 hours. And then you'll have got 238 in the anomalistic cycle and 241 in the draconic cycle, which is obviously based on the eclipses, the nodes, the nodical cycle. If that makes any sense. That's why you will get the moon at different points in the cycle, at different cycles and different distances.
Well, that is too advanced for me, really.
All it is, yeah, the full cycle of the moon, yeah, for it to complete one full cycle is 18 years, 11 days, and 8 hours. That's to get the same moon in the same phase at the same distance in the same point of the sky. Yeah.
Yeah,
and it takes exactly 223 lunations, which is 29.5 days times 223. Yeah. But
lunation is a lunar month?
No, a synodic month. You know, the phases, 29.5 days, new moon to new moon.
Yeah, okay.
So you get 223 of them in the Saros, but you get 238 anomalistic cycles per Saros, and you get 241 draconic months per Saros cycle. You know what I mean? There's quite a lot, and that's just 3 cycles. There's about 12 different ones altogether. You got nordical, you got tropical. You know what I mean? There's so many different cycles within the moon. Yeah, but it's not just the basic orbit. You know what I mean? You've got a lot of other stuff to like take into consideration, and that's what I'm trying to get my head around now. So it's.
So you're sounding like a scientist, Dave.
No, I needed to look into the anomalistic cycle because I was obviously I did my last presentation on that. Because like I showed you before, the anomalistic cycle fits into the 4-year calendar absolutely perfect. Yeah, so I'll just run through them then. So the anomalistic cycle is 27.55 days. The sidereal is 27.32 days. The tropical cycle is 27.32 days. The draconic cycle, which is a nordical cycle, is 27.2 days. And the synodic cycle, which is a phases, is 29.5 days. So you've got all them cycles within the moon. And let me just...
Rich is doing the opposite now, aren't you, Rich? You were talking though. Now you're thinking, aren't you? I can just tell you're thinking.
No, I'm thinking that it's an awful lot of cycles to really wrap yourself around.
Yeah, like I say, it's a you know, to try and get your head around them all. So for an example, if you take the year, which is 365.24 days, if you times that by 4, which will be include the leap year, you get 1,460 days. And interestingly, if you take the anomalistic cycle, yeah, you get 13 of them per year. So you get 52 for 4 years, but you've got that extra leap year, which gives you 53, and you get the exact same days, 1,460 days. So the anomalistic cycle fits into the actual solar cycle perfect over 4 years. And what you'll find is when in 4 years' time, when the moon's at perigee, it will be in the exact same position in perigee in 4 years' time. But every 2 years, that perigee will switch to apogee. So that's quite interesting as well. So basically,
a lot to take on then when you're looking at the moon.
Yeah, the moon's distance or the eccentricity of the moon always falls on literally on the same day every 4 years.
Oh. And that one's never out.
Sorry?
I wanted to share.
So that one never changes then, because obviously Rich is saying that the moon has changed this year then, with the shadow will have changed tomorrow, and that's what he wants to capture. But you're saying that one always is the same. Yeah,
but to catch that same shadow and that same moon, that same position, it would take over 18 years to get in the same position again. To get in that exact same position. You know what I mean?
To get everything to line up perfectly again, it's
exactly.
18 years.
Yeah.
Right, I get it.
Which is a Saros.
Right. Crow's showing us something now.
Oh yeah, I want to show just a simulation that I made for the 11th of February. Yeah, 11th of February. I have this globe model. So if you see, this is that hold the globe model. If the sun from the winter, agree, and this will be spring. So on 11th of February, there's 40 days to spring. So I put the sun in that direction. And then the moonrise in that day in Egypt will be at 10 a.m. So the moon will be in that direction. And that's where I put my moon. So this is Egypt, and that's the moon. If you can see, this is the lit half because the sun is from that side. And this is, I just crop it. And this is my moon. And this is from mooncalc.org on 11th of February. That's the moonrise. And then I move the camera to the other side of the ball. This also above Egypt, making the moon above Egypt. If you can see, this is the Arabian Peninsula and Egypt's here. And I crop it, and then you see the phase direction is almost the same.
We can't see that. We can't quite get that clarity because it's a little bit blurry.
Yeah.
We'll have to take your word for that one.
Oh, maybe I can do it like that. I'm not sure. Can you see it this way?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. So
it's because it's pixelating because it's moving about. If you could get it still, it'll probably depixelize.
It's hard though, isn't it? Because now you've told him that, he'll probably wobble it even more now.
Yeah. So this is during moonset. Is it better now?
It's sideways
really.
now.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry.
He is in Egypt. Yeah.
But the point is, anyway, yeah. What I'm saying is, I could. It's possible when you use the globe, you can get it. It makes sense. It doesn't have to be a proof for the globe, but I'm just saying that if the globe is a lie, then it is very very perfect lie because things matches in some way.
Yeah, except the moon, the moon being full for 12 hours. You won't be able to model that on that globe.
Say again?
I said I'd like to see you model the moon being full for nearly 12 hours on the globe model.
No, I don't think it could be for 12 hours full moon. And technically, I don't know.
Do you want me to prove it?
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, what was 11 hours, 46 minutes?
11 hours, 46 minutes.
Yeah.
During the July lunar eclipse. I'll tell you the exact times. I've got them on my computer here.
Anyway, I'm still wondering, if I had to drive 7 miles before I could see the moon again, how could people in London be seeing the same moon as me? If I can't see it for 7 miles, how the hell are they going to see it? So something else is going on here anyway.
So on the 27th of July, 2018, at 15:45 UTC +1, the moon was at 100.0%. Then on the 28th of July at 3:01 AM UTC, the moon is still at full 100.0% according to mooncalc. Maybe I could share the application on this and see if it works.
Here's another issue. while you're looking at it, here's another issue I noticed. I think it was 2, maybe 3 now, eclipses ago, lunar eclipses. The night of the eclipse, the moon was above the horizon and so was the sun before the eclipse started. So how could that be a full moon? But it was only a few hours before, and it was a lot more than just a few degrees off. I mean, it was 30 degrees in the sky. I actually took a photograph of it. I'll have to go back and I'll get the date, but I'm interested to see what that shows on MoonCalc as well. But we definitely did not have a sunset and then a moonrise occur simultaneously that day.
Can you see my screen or?
Yeah.
Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, we got
Sorry,
it.
I did. Yeah, we've got you.
Have you got MoonCalc up?
Not yet.
'Cause I've got the MoonCalc up on my screen now.
We see what looks like thumbnails of a bunch of different pictures.
Yeah, I've got that. Because let me just stop sharing that and try and share that application.
It looks like
It's that one I want
MoonCalc.
to share.
MoonCalc was in the background. If you go up to the address bar and just delete out the Hangout address, you can share your whole thing without having to share a single application.
I'll tell you what. I'll just move it over to you, Rich.
I'll tell you what. If I just delete the actual address out of it and share it, you shouldn't see it, should you?
Yeah, I'll
That's
just
right.
put it on lovely Rich's face for now. It's on you, Rich. Smile, Rich.
All right.
Right.
Right. You don't
Is it on me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can see I've took a screenshot of MoonCalc there. Although the moon's not actually visible from my perspective, you can still see there. It's full 100.0%. It's even got the decimal point there, and the time is 15:45. And then on the 28th at 3:01 in the morning, there you'll see again, the moon is still 100.0%. So that's MoonCalc, and they showed it to be full. And
Now, Dave, advance it just a couple seconds or a couple minutes, just so you can see that it does change. That's a screenshot. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. I can go on to MoonCalc and do it. No problem.
Yeah, I've seen you do it. What happens is you don't have to do it, but what happens is you advance it 1 minute past her. Here, it'll say 99.9%.
It's going to take me 10 seconds to get it up. When is it? 28th of July. I don't even think it matters about the location either, to tell you the truth. So they can see it's 15:44 there, yeah? So you'd go right up until midnight. Then you'd have to go to the 28th and carry on from there. It's still 100%, still 100%. Then they've gone to 99.9 right through till 3:01. And as you can see then, 99.9, 99.8, 99.7, 99.6. How would that be possible in the heliocentric model? You could never model that.
Isn't the interesting thing there also, didn't almost all those different cycles line up that day?
Every single one.
Wow.
Every single one lined up. The anomalistic cycle, yeah, the moon was at apogee. Yeah, the moon was its furthest point on the Tropic of Cancer of the tropical cycle. Yeah, the nodes had lined up for the eclipse, and it was a full moon as well. So every single cycle lined up that day, and every single one lined up for the recent one as well. But the moon was at perigee this time instead of apogee. And obviously the moon was on the Tropic of Capricorn instead of the Tropic of Cancer.
We ever get lunar eclipses when it's on the equator?
I I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do, but like I say, it's, you know what I mean, it's when, like.
Dave, how
often
does that happen then? Is that just a fluke thing, or it happens quite often then? It can freeze like that.
It happens on eclipses more than anything else, but I have seen it be extended on a normal or full moon, especially on a super moon. Yeah, but like I say, I would like to see that modelled with that moon constantly in motion against a fixed sun. It's impossible.
When the moon is going back, is that supposed to be because it's on a globe and it's going around the other side, really?
No, it's just, it means it's gone out of your perspective. They do it like that, so it joins up when it comes on again. You see, it's because it passes midnight. You see there, that's the problem. So you have to change dates. Yeah. But that is observable as well. I mean, and if you look enough, if you can catch a person when the moon is full from wherever they are, you know what I mean, they can actually see that the moon is full. You can tell when it's a completely full moon. You know what I mean? It's got no like craters on the edge of it. It's literally perfect circle.
Yeah,
and
I remember.
Obviously, then catch the last person.
I remember you had a picture at 99.9%, and you could see the difference.
Yeah, there is a you can tell the difference between a 99.9 and a 100% one.
No doubt, more than what I thought you could.
Yeah, it's surprising. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't see how that would work out on the globe model. I just don't see how.
It's impossible, isn't it? Because like I say, it just wouldn't happen. You know what I mean? The sun would have to be literally opposition all the time with it. You know what I mean? Constantly at opposition, like traveling literally the same
according
speed.
to the well, in the heliocentric model, the 100% full moon, I think it should be a moment, and before that moment and after that moment, it should be less. Yeah,
not an eclipse. What you'll find if you go to other dates, let's just go to another full moon. I mean, you'll see. December 22nd, 24th, 22nd. Right, what we at here? 99.3, 99, 900, 99. There you go.
Just a few hours.
It's a few hours.
What's the distance on your screen for that, the moon distance?
Yeah, you've got the moon distance there, but it's not right. Yep. So that full moon started at what?
It's saying roughly 363,500 kilometers.
So 1611, it was full. And that was till 8 o'clock. So still 4 hours.
Yeah, you can definitely, you can tell all through the eclipse, there is nothing of that moon missing for the entire eclipse. And then as soon as it goes to 99.9%, you do see one sliver of it gone.
Yeah, I think the word totality actually means it's totally full as well. You know what I mean? I think it's like a double
meaning.
You know, yeah, like a double meaning kind of thing.
Fascinating stuff.
But that can be observable, and obviously moon calc show it. I presume time and data show it as well. So
why don't you add
it'd be interesting
18 years?
What's that for, Saros?
Yeah, what's it? 18.5 years, something like that.
18 years, so 11 days, and 8 hours.
From that 27, I think, from 27 of July.
You'd have to go to Google and put in 2 different dates and see how to change it.
And that's how the Babylonians worked out the eclipses. All they did, they just marked it and put that day, and then just counted the actual days to the next one. And when you've built up one Saris, you start on the next series of Sarises. You know what I mean? It takes years and years and years to build them up, but once you've got them, you can predict any eclipse.
Absolutely.
That's what the Babylonians did.
And not only that,
there's
but
no.
I wanted to ask you, Dave, did your moon totally go black this time during the eclipse?
I don't know because I didn't get to see it, did I?
Oh, that's right. Well, here in Washington, anyway, that guy Steve I was talking about.
Yeah.
In his video, oh no, I'm sorry, it's a friend of mine. His video showed it go totally black, whereas the last cycle it never did go black. Totally. Like you could see, like half of it went black, and then it started turning red. This went all the way black first, and then turned red. Those also, it was the Mayans, I think, who noted all those different variations. Not only that, but there's differences in how deep the red is that they were able to predict and say, okay, the eclipse 72 times from now or whatever, 72 years from now, is going to be this shade of dark, and it's going to go totally black first. And they knew all that stuff. Just simply by what you're saying, they could repeat it. It's just a repeating cycle.
Exactly.
And they definitely thought we were a stationary flat Earth.
100%. Yeah, it wasn't till Pythagoras that they actually, well, just the Greeks thought we lived on a globe then. All the rest of the civilizations still believed it was flat. So,
yeah, and the Greeks mostly got it from what ships going over the horizon. Too bad they didn't have P900s. And,
yeah, well, it actually wasn't. It was actually land masses rising up as he was approaching them.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that's what's documented in Ptolemy's Almagest. Yeah, it was the actual land rising up. You know what I mean? So they're saying, yeah, the land they're approaching is coming up from behind the curve, kind of thing.
Gotcha.
But we all know that it's just the natural law of perspective, and it's getting closer, so it will be getting bigger.
Yeah. You ever go to Las Vegas and visit those hotels, you'll see that same thing.
Yes. Just while we're on that note of perspective, last weekend, me and Roxanne Glenn went to Brighton to conduct some laser tests with Dr. John D, peer-to-peer from Brighton Pier to Worthing Pier, which is approximately 10 miles. And we had some interesting results because even though we could see both lasers from both points, he could see our laser and we could see his laser. When you actually got the camera out and looked at his laser, it looked like it was facing up in the sky, even though it was pointing in our direction.
Really?
Yeah, it was really, really strange. There should have been 40 feet of curvature between them 2 points on 10 miles because it was only a meter off the sea level. Yeah, we was right on the actual sea level. I'm actually going to get down again on the 22nd because it's going to be one of the lowest tides of the year. Yeah, so we're going to get even lower to sea level.
What was the power of the lasers? How many watts?
I don't know, but it is at a distance of 10 miles. I think it was 3,000. Is it a 3 watt one? Is it or three whatever?
Yeah, 3 watts sounds right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got 2 green lasers and a red laser. And like I say, because the air temperature was 0 and the sea temperature was 2 degrees, what you got is you got that heat coming off the sea, and it literally bent them lasers up into the air. Like you couldn't see it from our perspective. I could just see a straight line going straight to Worthing Pier. But when I zoomed in on his laser facing me, it literally went vertical. It was unbelievable to see it. But like I said, we're going down again on the 22nd of February to conduct some more laser tests. And Dr. John D's obviously he's gathering all the information. But if you put in peer-to-peer, Dr. John D, he's done quite a lot of work on refraction. You know what I mean? He's an ex-school teacher. He's got a PhD, so he knows what he's talking about. And he's been building this data up for the last 6 months. So hopefully we'll get to a conclusion eventually. But like I say, at the moment, he's just collecting all the data and seeing how light works in different situations. You know, different atmospheric conditions, different temperatures, different altitudes. So it's a good thing to be involved in. And I'm glad I've got involved with it. And like I say, if anybody's interested in coming down, we'll be in Brighton from the Friday. I don't know if Friday's the 22nd through till Saturday night.
Well, a lot to take in there, especially if we're looking at your figures, Dave. It's very complicated, isn't it? It's not an easy thing, you know. It takes a lot of research to do this.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, with the moon, you could go forever. You know what I mean? Some of these ancient astronomers, they've been like researching the moon for like maybe 40, 50 years, and they're probably still not much better off than when they first started observing it. I think that's what it is with the moon. You could probably observe it for your lifetime and probably be no wiser, really. Yeah, you can collect the data and you can make observations, but it's just one of them enigmas. What you'll never ever get to the bottom of it, because it just doesn't do what it's supposed to do. You know what I mean?
No, Crow's gone very quiet now.
Yeah, I was playing with this moon phase on mooncalc. It's very interesting. I don't know how can it stay for our full moon.
Oh, what I can do while I'm on this, Rich, I can actually show you how the moon flips as well. So what I'll do.
Yeah,
I sent Rich the little video about that, but we put that on Sun and Moon.
you're talking about when it passes meridian, right?
Yeah, you'll see it in a sec. I just need to get them.
Yeah, that I get. I notice it myself, but it's the before meridian rotation that is interesting me.
Yeah, I just need to get the right. Not sure. Yeah, that's it. Just keep going down. It should do it here. So I'm just opening. As you can see, look. See how when it passes the meridian, that it completely flips 180 degrees, look.
Yeah.
That's because the observer from that point, he's looking east. Yeah. And now he's got to turn 180 degrees and look west.
Yeah, I definitely get that.
And that's where you get that rotation. And that's why, look, before then, look, you don't get nothing hardly, look. See? Because he's facing it. It's not until he gets to that meridian that you get that flip. And then you hardly get any again, look.
Okay. Do me a favor, change that to February 8th of 19. I'm sorry, Dave, February 9th.
What do you want, sorry?
February 9th, please.
Sorry, February 9th, sorry.
That's my fault.
Yeah, that's bang on the celestial equator, that would be. You'd probably get the...
Put it just before sunset. Actually, if you could drag that over to the Southwest U.S. Or you can just type in Phoenix, up to you. I don't know how it does it actually on there.
I've just made my screen larger now. I don't know why I've done that. That's it.
It's PHOE.
Oh, sorry.
It's a weird spelling. Why isn't it there? Here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you
I'll
can put
zoom
it
back a little bit.
Yeah, if you
Just
can put
so
it, I don't know, a couple just before sunset.
Just before sunset.
Yeah.
So it'd probably be about there.
Now, so the moon there is at 272 degrees. Is that correct?
That's at 272 degrees.
Now you can see that the lit part is facing north of west, and it's going to set, if everything goes the way everything's saying, it's going to set north of the sun.
That will be interesting.
And that's impossible.
I'll say something. I'm pretty sure, but I didn't take a picture of it now. But I don't reckon that the way I saw the moon earlier on was anything like that. It was the other way round. It was the arcing was on the left of the moon. Have you seen it today, Dave?
No, not yet. Oh, I haven't. No.
It was earlier. It was out earlier. It was going out across about 6 o'clock, so it's gone now. But it was.
Now, notice how much that rotates even early in the day, Dave. But is that above the horizon? I guess it's not. I don't know.
Yeah, that's above the horizon there, and then obviously once it passes that meridian, that's where you see the most of it. You see it.
Well, why is it rotating before the meridian?
Yeah, it does turn, obviously, because you're gonna have to turn a little bit to keep following it. You know what I mean? But when once it's past
now, what if you had an equatorial mount looking at it?
Then you wouldn't see any rotation whatsoever.
All right, so that's going to be the key, and we have that equipment.
Yeah, that's what they're used for, basically. You know, for tracking, so you can actually follow the actual object. But it will actually, as it moves around, it will rotate round with it. You know what I mean?
So you're saying it will still rotate with an equatorial mount, or won't?
No, the equatorial mount will have to rotate to keep the moon facing in the same direction.
Right. So if we get if the moon changes its orientation with an equatorial mount, then we have an issue.
Yeah, 100%. But I'm 100% sure that they stay in the same position. Like.
Okay. Well, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow, because everything, even the mainstream sites, are saying that the moon is going to be facing north of west. It's going to set north of the sun, which is an impossibility in their model.
I caught an interesting shot of the moon tonight. Actually, I might be able to show it you. So let me just plug my phone in, and I'll show you the couple of shots I caught tonight, which will get some people thinking. That's it.
What we basically need is every country or lots and lots and lots of areas taking pictures of the moon every single day in that area.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Where is it?
I'll be right back, guys.
Okay.
Okay, let me just. It's Nikon. There. Snap bridge. Do it by modified. Let's go to view, large icons. So this is an interesting one I took today. You see that one?
Right. Oh, okay then. So I basically saw it. It had swung round, so that arcing was on the other side for me when I saw it. That's what I saw. Anyway, carry on, Dave.
Yeah, I'm just saying it was an interesting shot, like where the clouds. I just caught the clouds right, like, and another one. Which is a quite nice little picture. Where I basically lit the dark side up. And what you'll see here, you know, I was talking about the laser when I zoomed in on that laser at Worthing. That laser was facing me. Look where it's pointing.
Up.
That's what refraction does.
So the laser went up because of refraction, or is it going down? I'm not sure.
No, that laser was pointing directly at us. It was level with the spirit level, and it was pointing directly across to us. but because the ocean temperature was 2 degrees higher than the air temperature, it literally bent the laser in the air. It looked like a straight line from my side when I was. I don't know if I've got a picture of the.
So you could see it visually, but it was sticking up in the air when you look through the optics.
Yeah. Did you see my sunset, Rich?
No, I did. I
Can't see that one, Dave.
I haven't put it on yet.
Okay, it's just it's got a little Oh, okay, cool.
This is quite interesting.
The sun dematerializing in front of you.
That's really cool.
That's a boat.
Really?
Yeah, watch this now.
Wow.
How's that for a
see that
sunset?
green light.
Not just that, you can see the clouds in the background.
The Super Mario clouds, I call them.
Very good, I know, and it's a bit mind-boggling if people haven't really realised that the sun dematerializes miles away.
Yeah, yeah. There's some. I got some good shots for that one. It's bleeding into the ocean.
Call it lava lamp.
Yeah, like I say, I got some interesting shots of the moon tonight. There's one. I think that one's my favourite. That one there. That one.
Yeah, because you're seeing the dark side as well.
Yeah, and that's that one where I lit up the dark side. Just change the actual exposure on it, so you can actually light up the dark side of the moon, which I always find quite interesting.
Yeah, I found it interesting that it never turns red.
I wonder if I've got that one from a few months back where I caught a crescent moon a while back. I'm not sure if I've got it on this one, where it was quite selective.
Well, the reason why I bring that up is the latest excuse I've heard is that the reason why the moon turns red, the moon turns red is because of the millions of sunrises and sunsets on the Earth during an eclipse.
Yeah, that's just absolute nonsense. I thought I had it, but I don't think I've got it. But
yeah, I'm still waiting for the first person to demonstrate casting a red shadow. You can cast red light, but you can't cast a red shadow.
No, not me.
Do you think it's have you finished showing us your pictures, Dave?
yeah, I was just looking for that one where it's selective on the library. I can't find it. I think I've stored it on my computer somewhere. Yes, I've finished. I was just dawdling.
Thanks for sharing all that, Dave. I appreciate it.
It's massive. I was just wondering if maybe Chris wanted to say something because he's been patiently waiting there, didn't you, Chris, for what you wanted to say?
Yeah, what do you want to say? Talk about, Chris?
Hello. Right. Let me just put my camera on. Queer one. Dave, what do you use to measure the pixels on your photographs? What program do you use? Has he gone?
Oh, yeah, Dave's gone.
You know, I'll try to get that to you, Chris, because he told me what it was, but I'd have to look up in my email. There's a very expensive program, but he's got the free version, from what I understand. And
that's the one I want.
Yeah, exactly. Me too.
You think you know everything, and then you start talking to Dave, and you realise you don't.
He's like an Encyclopedia Britannia of the moon. Yeah, it just blows my mind away when he starts talking.
There he is.
So,
that was very.
Have you managed to see my video on the gyroscope, Rich? The new setup. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I have not. Sorry about that. I was muted. Dave's back if you want to ask him that question again.
Dave, what program do you use to count pixels on photographs?
Bursoft measuring tool.
Versoft.
Bursoft, BERSOFT. But trust me, it's not cheap. And you can't get
the free version.
You can get a free version, but it's locked at 640 resolution. It looks terrible.
Right, okay. Is it over 100 quid?
Yes, it's more than that.
All right. Oh, God. I wonder why. Right, my gyroscopes. I've actually got my gyroscopes.
If you ever want anything measuring, just let me know. I'll measure it and send it straight back to you.
Hey, Chris.
Right, because there's... Yeah.
I have seen your video, the one where you're talking about spinning up two different gyroscopes at the same time.
Yeah, I've actually got me two gyroscopes, looked them up yesterday.
Oh, awesome.
Pardon?
I said awesome.
When they're spun up, they're like a solid rock. They're like the pin to the wall. You can hardly move them. In that orientation, you can move them sideways easy. That is like a rock. So I think the experiment's going to work, so we'll have to wait and see. The interesting thing is that the video that I put up, I'm getting a lot of globes on it. Tell me what I need to do it properly, which is interesting. So I just thought I'd come on and tell people where I'm up to on the gyroscopes. I've got the gyroscopes, I've got the metal work to make the framework for it. So it's just a quick update of where I'm up to. So getting the gyroscopes in your hand and actually spinning them up and feeling how they work, it's incredible. One's quite incredible, but two together, this orientation, they're absolutely solid in space, especially with two moving at the same, at maximum speed. So
and just for people who might not know what you're doing, you're trying to show if the Earth actually moves or not, correct?
Yes, I can share. I've got the hang of it, Karen, so don't worry.
And this is what's good about, you know what I mean, everybody's doing something in a different area. You know, we've got some people who are doing long distance photography, some doing infrared photography, some people looking at the sun, some people looking at the moon, some people doing Sagnet type experiments.
It's absolutely I do different things, and then we all pull together and just pool our ideas together. This is what we need, a community. So can you see the picture?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah.
So the gyroscopes are orientated differently there. So that's the setup. Let me see if we can get to the next picture.
So you're getting rid of the precision, but you're keeping the rigidity in space.
Correct. So the idea is, if you're north to south, they won't move on there. Right? I can spin them up, they won't move at all. And change the orientation to, and now you're showing this. So you're on the curvature of Earth, and as it spins at 15 degrees per hour, it should move at a 15-degree angle that way, and then another hour, 30 degrees. And that it's different to all the other gyroscope experiments because it's trying to it's you're not. They're going to say, well, you're here. You know the Felkel pendulum works when it's that way up, which is gyroscopic forces pulling that way as well. So how the hell the explaining works, I don't know. So.
When do you think you'll be able to do this?
Often I've got the gyroscopes, I've got the metal steel. I'm waiting for a slab of stainless steel to come back and get machined up. I'm still sharing.
No, back on you now.
Cool. Right, I've got the stainless steel how to machine it up. I'm not using a pin. I'm going to have a slot in the stainless steel with a knife edge, basically. So there's no friction at all. And all we're looking for is a tilt either side. So there's no rotation that way. It's just on a tilt. And all the feedback I've had from it off trolls that have gone, right, this makes sense, are saying, yeah, this is so interesting. But I need to get it working, prove how sensitive it is, and then show the experiment. Just run it for 2 hours. If it doesn't move. Sorry?
I wanted to ask you a question because when I thought, I'm sorry, go ahead, Khalid.
Yeah, I was saying the best disputable proof for the success of the experiment is if you put it on an equatorial mount that rotates 15 degrees per hour. So
yes, that was going to be my question, because you said you thought it was going to work better at the equator than your latitude. But I think if you do an equatorial mount, you're going to get the same rotation no matter where you are. So
yes,
you want to,
exactly.
yeah, you want to orient it to Polaris, parallel. I mean, perpendicular.
Well,
is that right?
You'd have to orient, if you're trying to get rotation that way, then I say, yes, you've got to point that at Polaris. But we're not trying to get that. We're on the edge. And say I'm the equator. So I'm the edge, that's the edge. There's the gravity going up that way. You're just looking for that as it moves. You're not trying to get to the spin.
Yes, I think I know how to do it. You'll have to go to the equator and put it in the orientation that doesn't show any spin. And on that orientation, you put the equatorial mount.
Yeah, but we're all spinning, aren't we? Supposedly,
we're all spinning. So if I point this like that out to space, then that should spin. That should move. Because you're getting mixed up with trying to find the spin of the Earth. Because most people have got gyroscopes set up like that, and they're trying to see it move around like that. When all I'm doing is setting it like that, and that tilt shows. If you can see that. So as it moves over, it tilts like that. And this way, as it moves, it doesn't tilt. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So even at my latitude, I think 50 odd degrees latitude, it should still work. Because it's not going to be on a fixed pin, it's going to be on a knife edge. So we should still see movement if we're on a spinning ball. So north to south, east to west, we should see that movement. It should still moves at 15 degrees per hour, wherever you are supposed to be on a ball.
Exactly.
So if that's fixed in space, which believe you me, when these two are spinning at full speed, it's like you have to force it to get over. It just twists. It wants to twist to let you go. It's just fixed. When two are spinning on one shaft, it's incredible the amount of power you got. When you got one, it's quite powerful. With two of them, it's like, wow, I couldn't believe how much power it was in just two small gyroscopes. So, but it's just a matter of getting them running, get the equipment built, test it, balance it out, test it, and just see where we go from that. But it's not anything someone else has come up with or tried. You know, the small little gyroscopes that you get and the mount you get with these is not good enough to do the job we wanted to. So we make our own mounts and figure out our own way of doing it, which hopefully I think this will work, but we'll have to wait and see.
But how long can it rotate to be I mean, how long?
Yeah, I was going to ask the same thing. Are they powered or so low in friction they go 4 hours?
Well, they're both powered. They've got two motors, 1200 revolutions per second. So they're going to be on a shaft that's about 1.5 meters in total long. I could do 2 meters, but that's pushing it for transport. You have to transport it around. But I'll get a couple of different lengths made, balance it out, and then spin them up. See what happens.
But how long would they stay spinning after you spin them up?
I'll just keep the motors attached.
And that doesn't change anything?
Well, I do think that, because if the motors aren't balanced, then it might change something. But I don't know till I've got them running. Them spinning themselves, they'll only spin by themselves for 25 minutes.
Okay.
There's plenty of people spun up with the motors attached and just left them running till the batteries run out.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
But if they're fixed on a blade there like that, they don't. It doesn't move that way anyway. I'm looking for that movement. So when they're spinning up, they are rigid in space. So the only problem I've got is powering these externally. But it's so long, I'm going to hopefully power them from the middle on the shaft with 2 connectors, so the batteries don't have to be connected to this shaft. Then I can just switch it to alternative power supplies and just keep it running and running. Or a permanent power supply. Yeah.
Can they spin and be reliable? I mean, if you let them spin freely, just give them speed and leave them for 5 minutes. Can they stay reliable for 5 minutes?
Yeah. Well, you can look them up with super precision gyroscopes. They're used for scientific experiments, precision instruments, and all sorts. So I'm not sure if it's a British company or a German company, but it's the best gyroscopes that I can buy anyway.
Yeah, 5 minutes would produce 1 degree or something, and that could be detectable. So, I mean, it's better than putting a power cord.
I could run them for 4 hours or 2 hours on one battery pack. So that should be a lot of movement. If you don't get any movement.
Oh, battery, so you don't have to use power cord.
Pardon?
I mean, they have their own battery. You don't have to plug them to a power cord, to a power line.
Oh, I know. Yeah, but the problem I've got, if I've got a battery pack, not this battery pack, I've got to attach that to the shaft, or I can get some woven cables to the middle, the lightweight cables, and put them to the center to power both motors for each gyro. So at the moment, it's early days. I've got all the metal work. I've got a friend who's got a workshop I can use and go and make all this. And he can give me some help on bits that if I'm stuck, but I should be fine. It'll probably take me a couple of weeks to get this up and running on some equipment. The main thing is getting it balanced, getting it working, and then proving it actually measures 15 degrees in an hour. So the people I've been talking to, the globers and the non-globers that know the physics, are saying, well, you need to prove that it will measure it to be taken seriously. So I need to rig up a system where it actually tilts the base, which isn't a problem. I says, well, if I can do it 15 degrees in 2 hours, the base, that proves how accurate it is. And they're going, well, yeah. So just move on from there. So to be taken seriously, it's got to be done. I can't just do it, say, look at this, this proves the Earth's not spinning. I've got to go through a procedure where I'm saying, right, this demonstrates how accurate it is. This is the method. This is what I expect, the scientific method, basically. And run through it that way. So you can't just throw it all together, spin it up and go, look, this is what it does. You've got to go through a bit of a procedure first. So that's what I'm hoping to do. I'm not going to go, right, I've made it, built it, look where it's brilliant. I need to go through a process for it to be taken seriously. So it's not a quick process of do it, build it, bang, bang, there you go. I'm trying to do it properly, where I can demonstrate it, say this is what I've got. Is there any problems? Why is it giving them the how can you improve it? That's what I do, is throw a video up and say, how can I make this better? Or why is it doing this? What have you got against it? So build up the case for it to work, and then do it properly. And say, right, stream it for 2 hours, look, it doesn't move. Then spin it round, stream it for another 2 hours, it doesn't move. And just do that and go. Pete and Pete saw it, and they referred to it as the flat earther's focal pendulum. So we can just keep running and watch it, and people can come in and look at it and go, "What, the Earth doesn't move?" Next to the focal pendulum, but we'll see. So I'm quite excited about it, especially now I know how powerful these are when they're both spinning on the shaft, and how rigid they are in space. It's just keeping hoping that I might have to get some new motors built or buy some motors that run a lot smoother. I did think that when I got them, but we'll see. I'll attach the motors, run them, and see what happens. So
sounds good.
Yeah. It's exciting for me because I've had a gyro in the past, but having two on a shaft is just a total different outcome to just having one. And if you go on the internet and look into two gyros on a shaft and how they react, you can't find anything. There's nothing there.
How did you come up with this idea?
It's a long story. I heard about a guy who did a long-range shot for 2 miles, a Canadian guy, sniper. So I went and looking at the Coriolis effect. I thought, what exactly does he have to supposedly take into account if we're on a spinning ball? There's tons of stuff. You'd have to have a degree in physics and all sorts to work it all out to shoot something. And from that, I come across other things, and then I worked out, well, gyroscopes, because I'd looked into gyroscopes before, and then I just sort of thought, how can I set a gyroscope up to measure it? And I just thought, well, people have tried the spinning orientation, and then I looked at where you did it and how people did it. You do it in Britain, you basically, you have to point the axis at Polaris to show any movement, if it's a ball or not. But using this method, you don't. You're just looking at that rotation.
I think it's awesome. Can't wait to see it.
Well, I'll definitely bring it up to the September meetup and get it running.
Okay, is it September 12th?
I think something like that. I can't remember the exact date.
Okay.
Chris,
yeah.
I was going to say, are you going to the European one as well?
No, I can't do both because it's just too much. I've just spent me going to the the first one meetup on this lot, and I've got more to spend. So no, I won't be doing both. I wish I could, but no. Plus, I've got a wife who's not a flat earther, and she wouldn't be very happy either. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, but once it's up and running, we need to get as many eyes on it as possible. Get this idea out. If everyone thinks this is a brilliant idea, it's nothing anyone else has done. You see plenty of people with these gyroscopes on a gimbal. Look, the Earth doesn't move, but it doesn't stand credibility. There's no credibility with it. But I think with this, building our own apparatus for it, it's credible. Especially we prove first it works, and then say, right, this is the experiment. So we'll see. It's early days, but I think it's very promising. It's costing me a few bob now, but I've got a feeling it's going to cost me a lot more to set it all up to do it properly. But we'll see. I'm excited about it, definitely. I've had quite a few ideas. I've had this. I put a video up about the Michelson-Morley experiment. Messed the maths up a bit, so let's take it off again. we can use the Michelson-Morley method to measure the speed difference of a building that's so high, using the interference pattern. Anyone saw that? I know Karen's seen it because he has to not to put it up because the math was wrong. But I'm redoing that as well. But that's a separate thing to this. So that's it really. That's as far as I've got up to now. Is I've got the gyros, I've got the metalwork. I'm waiting for one piece of steel to come so I can get it all machined up. And it's all grub screws, alterable, tighten them all up. Looks like a scientific instrument. And away we go. That's it.
I think it's fantastic, Chris. But let me give you one caution. Document the absolute ridiculous things you think there's no way anybody would want to know this. Trust me, document it, because people will come up with the silliest things to say, see, this isn't true because he didn't tell us how heavy he was, or he didn't tell us if he was actually facing north-northeast or east-northeast. I mean, it's ridiculous what you're going to get. So if you document every single thing, I mean, here's the example. We have somebody that's 14 miles or whatever it was across the lake, and they have a mirror down on the beach, and the people on the other side are at 3 feet, and they see the reflection of the sun on the other shore, 10 miles or whatever it was away, 14 miles. And people were like, no, this isn't valid because they didn't give you the angle of the mirror. I was like, what's the matter what the angle of the mirror is? If it's reaching the other, if it's reaching the other shore, it's reaching the other shore.
I think we're getting to the point where we're doing this stuff for ourselves.
Yeah, you're right.
So
you're right.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
and it ain't cheap. You know what I mean? Some of the like you say, the equipment, we have to buy. You know what I mean? The software you have to buy. You know what I mean? If you want the proper software, then you've got to pay the money for the software. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you're using trial versions which have got and they've always got reduced resolution or something like that. But I think that's the great experiment, that. And like I say, you know what I mean, we're always trying to come up with these new ideas or these new experiments, or you know what I mean. It's good because we're all trying to find these little pieces of the puzzle and trying to put this jigsaw puzzle together, kind of thing. You know what I mean? We've probably got 2 pieces at the moment, but we're getting there. So I think it's good.
They've taken us to space and they're showing everything to us from space. And really, it's much easier to work it out from here. Even if it's costing a bit of money, costing Rich a bit of money, and having to do, and you, Dave, and Crow probably you have to do it yourself. But it's just, if it was proving the globe, there'd be hundreds of these things made.
Yeah, if you want, before I go, do you want me to show you that measuring tool, Chris? Do you want me to show you that, Chris?
I've seen you using it. I was trying to share a screen again. A quick question. I know how you use it.
I was just going to give a live demonstration that we're all.
Yeah, honestly. Go on then, fire away.
It only take me 10 seconds just to show you anyway.
Mind that link, Dave.
Because Rich, you know about me first comparing the field of view of them. Now you've got a P900. We might be able to do something with it, especially if we can measure the pixels.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm meeting with a guy tomorrow who hopefully will teach me enough about the camera so I can actually start doing this stuff. But I'm actually, after this hangout, I'm going to, in fact, Karen, I'm going to have to leave in about 10 minutes. I actually want to go out and set up my equipment, and I got to drive somewhere and find where I can get the sunset, because I want to try to do it today as well.
So basically what I do with all my images, because they're really super high resolution, I always change the actual resolution on the image. So I just go to transform, resize, change that to 1366, which is a pretty, I don't know why it does that every time. 1366 is a pretty good resolution. Apply that. And then all I do, I get the measuring tool, stick it on there, drag that one up to there, drag that one to the bottom, Drag that one to the edge. You don't have to be precise, because what you can do, you can zoom right in on it like that and get it absolutely on the edge.
So what's this software made for specifically?
This software,
is it surveying software?
yeah, you can basically have a bird's eye view of a street, and if you've got the formulas, you can pump them in and you can measure the streets and things like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So all you do then is just get it as close as you can to the actual.
Yeah, but I'm after measuring in between 2 stars or 4 stars the distance. So
yeah. Then you write the measurement on it, and there you have it. And that's how you measured it. And what you can do then, you can just go to your measurement, merge it, and flatten it, and that's it. Then you just right click and save it, and then just measure other images. And that's what I did basically.
Yeah. So what is it actually measuring? It's measuring the image pixels across the screen.
Yeah, you can do it different ways. What I do, I measure the width and the height. Yeah. Yeah, you can measure the actual circumference. You can measure the radius. You've got different measurements. You can. I can't remember how to do it now, but
I can't measure any pixels on Photoshop. Have you tried that on Photoshop?
No, I ain't tried it.
I'll have a look on Photoshop.
But that's it basically, and that's what I did with the moon risers, and I just and as you can see there, and I just measured them all there.
Yeah, I've seen your videos, Dave, with you measuring them and showing the measurements. And I thought I need to get hold of this software, but I couldn't get hold of you to get the name of it, so I've got the name of it now, and I'll have a look, see what I can come up with. Yeah,
but like I say, if you need anything measuring, just let me know, and I'll measure it and send it straight back to you.
Well, when Rich gets to hang his camera, we'll take some photographs of the star constellation, and then we can send you a few images.
Yeah, make sure you get the focal length, and make sure you check the focal length with Photo Forensic, so you've got the same focal length as well.
On both images, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think I spoke to you before about it, and you said, well, just set it to moon settings, just switch it on and take the photograph of the stars, the constellation.
Like I say, you've got various focal length up until your maximum. You know what I mean? So you'd have to stick to that focal length. I do 1440mm, which is the optical zoom of my camera. Yeah. So every observation I make, I always do a 1440mm one. So it keeps it consistent. Like.
Right. Well, you're an expert, Dave. Moon Man Dave, I call you.
If Dave has to go in a moment and Rich has to go in a moment, do you think it's a good time just to end the hangout and we will say goodbye off air?
Yes, good idea.
Yeah, good idea. I want to talk to you for a couple minutes afterwards, Chris.
Okay.
Okay. Is that okay, crowxe?
Yeah.
That's
okay.
fine by
It's
me.
been a great show, and thanks to Chris. It's a very interesting experiment. I hope to see the results soon.
Thank you very much.
Hey, chat room, thank you so much for listening in. Been a great hangout. Oh my goodness, so much research. Very proud of everybody. It's really great that, you know, that the people are doing this. The people. Anyway, thank you, chat room, and thank you to our Patricia, to Phil, who was on earlier on. He said his computer was heating up, so obviously he hasn't come back. Anyway, thank you very much to crowxe, to Dave Marsh, to Chris UK, and of course Mr. Thrive and Survive. Thank you so much. Mwah. See you on next week. Bye everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.